Marisa, Brandon, ¿qué lo que?
What is this?
Listen. Future of salsa. We discussing the future of salsa today. Woo! Austin LeBron en la casa. Juanqui Ortiz.
Literally in the casa.
Special episode today, literally.
Que nos domina, lo que tiene el cuerpo y grita, ese sabor que tiene un beso lleno de deseos más. El momento no se acabe, y cuando puedas despertarte, vas a sentir cuando te abrace que el ambiente pide más, un poco más de mí.
Mi gente, how y'all feeling? Wepa Wednesdays. We're talking the future of salsa today.
Aquí de esta manera, algo especial no debemos pararlo, no debemos pararlo. Por favor, no me dejes.
Austin, if you can tell us the key this is in, that'd be crazy.
I think it's in B minor.
B minor?
Yeah.
Flowers, I'm loving the energy too. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate Wow.
Tú quieres un poquito más de mí, yo quiero de ti, que este momento se perdió y para siempre
Mi gente, this song, this is the song I need. B minor, Austin LeBron. Woo! We got 30 seconds. Wow. Solo. Oh my God, mi gente. My people. Aquí estamos, Wepa Wednesday, con los hermanos Austin LeBron y Radical One. Humildemente presentando a DJ Pedro Suave, que lo que desde London. Adrian Romo, Alex Forsi. Marisa, thank you so much for tuning in every Wednesday. Thank you so much. I'm telling you, Chalcita La Casa. Thank you so much, love. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. This is a special episode. Ooh, ooh. We start every live stream with the song on some vibes. I'm gonna give y'all that ID real quick. I'm gonna start the song real quick because we're gonna talk the future of salsa, and the future of salsa talks about blending a lot of sounds, a lot of ideas. This is the first time I've heard this song. This is exclusive on Wepa Wednesday. Tony Sucar, Más de Mi, feature Angel Lopez. I'm gonna play the start of this song because a connection that I've made with the future of salsa is obviously blending, and then one of those things is R&B. I want you guys to hear this intro real quick. Mi gente, mi
Yeah.
gente. You guys cannot tell me that is one of the illest,
It's
literally.
very. It's like Bruno Mars a little bit. Yeah,
Exactly.
Maverick.
Exactly.
It's legit. It's like.
Austin, mira, delante de toda la gente, this is the first time I've heard this song by live stream. De verdad, de verdad.
It's a good song.
I,
Nice.
listen, bro. I just been searching for like new salsa, new inspiration. Obviously.
Because I got some sauce I can tell you about, if I'm being honest.
Oh no,
Some
no, no.
stuff there's some stuff that I've been listening to for the past couple of years.
Listen now, definitely now. We're gonna go there. But I thought we start with this song because I'm like, yo, this sounds like mid 2010s. Obviously, we really haven't discussed like the future of salsa to the degree of like the last 10 years to that extent. And I'm like, yo, I heard this song with Tony, like some guy called Tony Sucar. And I'm like, yo, this is like pop ready, radio ready. I'm like, I'm crazy. I'm surprised we haven't heard more of this, but I know R&B is one of the things that's been mixing more with like whatever future salsa sound we're listening to these days. It's definitely in the R&B range for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But like, you tell me how you feel about that.
I love it. I think it's a nice way because playing chords like that it's been in salsa for a long time. Hey yo, is the
Hey,
buzz. Shout out to my hello there with sport. Because R&B and salsa they have been mixing for the past couple of years, from what I've noticed, with that very classic progression that everyone keeps playing. So it's a nice way. It's a nice way to incorporate that, especially in that song.
yeah. Were you like were you able to like identify the chord progression?
Yeah, it's what we call a.
Ooh, queso de papa. Ay, 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 Marisa. Oh my God.
It's the same chord progression I use for what is it? Luna y Sol.
Oh, that's your song. Mi gente, if you're not, oh my God, if you're not hip to Austin LeBron, ay, my gente, yeah. Chalcita, yes, I know, fire. Listen, we're talking the future of salsa right here, live and direct. This is the chord progression, mi gente, para todo el mundazo.
Because
And that was yeah.
The cool thing about that chord progression is that I know where it comes from.
Where does it come from?
It's coming from.
That sounds puro sazón, puro sazón.
Because that's yeah, that's how you would normally harmonize a 2-5-1 in salsa. So what they're taking the same central idea, instead of you keep So if you keep going down and down and down, you're doing that. You're doing a modified 2-5-1.
Okay, and like by modified, you mean like the chords are like modified, like they're not they're not the root 2-5-1. They're not the root 2-5-1. They're the
No,
inversions. The inversions of them.
they're not inversions. They're just they're less complicated ways of playing them.
Okay.
Because the that's very difficult to play over and over again, especially it's not a digestible sound, but when you have a chord progression that everyone knows, that keeps going down. It keeps going down, but it's more loopable.
Right.
So all they're doing is arpeggiating that chord. Because that's what this is. Those are arpeggiations. So they're taking the chord, which in this case, the first chord is a B minor 7, but they're arpeggiating from the third. So I'll show what I'm doing here. This is what I can hear in that song.
That's
So this song,
exclusive.
it's in B minor, so you have B minor 7. So they're taking this and they're doing their instead of. So you are arpeggiating the major harmony that's on top of a minor harmony. So yeah. So that's what they're doing, which makes it way more digestible. So you have the.
Absolutely.
It's that same. It's the same kind of idea, just in a more simplified format. That you're taking a chord progression that comes from like a Afro-Cuban jazz, Black American music type of background.
Yeah.
You're applying a style of playing from Latin music, salsa, but you're playing more well-known, simplified R&B chords. Because you're not going to play like something like that. And that's the same chord. I'm playing the same chord, albeit with extensions. That's not as nice to hear.
Right. Of course.
That's something we already know. So psychologically, it works. So the blending of R&B and salsa, which has its roots in Afro-Cuban jazz,
right?
Naturally, because a lot of the basic foundations of R&B come out of jazz or Black American music, but modern R&B. I'm not talking like rock music from the 50s, like actual like R&B from about the 80s, late 70s, like that type of sound. So I think it's fantastic.
Right.
And there's a lot of salsa songs that do that. There's even a lot of salsa songs the past couple of years that even sample, and I mean sample more interpolations of classic R&B songs. So I think it's great. I think it's a step in the right direction because with salsa and boogaloo, the whole Latin soul kind of thing, it lends itself very well. So you can have a nice, really whatever. But yeah, it's digestible.
Nah, man, I agree, man. It's like having those digestible things. I mean, salsa in its entirety, I mean, it's salsa digestible ? Because it's salsa in its definition is a blend, is a sauce of a lot of things, right? And if you want to accept that it's digestible or not, I mean, look at the '90s, right? When we, kind of saw a transformation of salsa, because in the early days of salsa, it was a lot more, for a better word, theoretic. I mean, the range of what was being played was a lot more diverse, and then it was more simplified over time. You had the Mark Anthony's, the Victor Manuel's, the Eddie Santiago's, simplifying it a lot more, like, almost like a formula for the radio, for the whatever easy listening, and it's crazy. I mean, that term easy listening is like, who invented that term? But it's a term that's stuck with us these days. It's a term that, like, Gilberto motherfucking Santa Rosa, yes, as well. And I'm sure that's a person that has this foundation, and with listening to old classic salsa as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see this dynamic and to now bringing it to modern day. I mean, what is modern day salsa, bro? Like, what do you think is modern? What is modern day? What is future of salsa like? To you, what does that look like?
To me, I feel like there's two different classes of what salsa is now. If we're going to use the word future salsa, just to like simplify words, I think there's three different classes of what's happening with salsa right now.
Oh, he said there isn't. Wait, finish your thought. Finish your thought, though. Finish your thought.
I think because you have the salsa that's coming out now that's
no, finish your thought. Finish your thought. Finish your thought.
You have salsa that's coming out now that's sort of paying homage to the salsa from back in the 70s and 60s.
True.
You have that kind of salsa. I can't really name a few bands off the top of my head. I know more songs, but
right.
You have that kind of salsa, which is one lane that's happening now.
Right. Homage. Homage is one lane.
Homage.
One lane.
And then the homage kind of bleeds into indie, like indie Latin.
Okay.
A little bit. But not too much, because Indie Latin is a whole other topic of conversation.
It is true. That's true.
So you have the homage, blending modern sound design, modern music elements into that, but not too modern. You're still staying within those roots of salsa, and then you have what you just played.
Exactly.
Going full on, so we're gonna use R&B chords with the same instrumentation.
Exactly.
And we're gonna it's borderline. It's like a natural progression of the salsa romantica from the 90s.
Literally, but like it's all modern edge, like basically like not copying, but taking influence from like the R&B of the modern 2010 ages, like the Motor Mars, Anderson .Paak, etc.
Yeah, and then the third lane of modern salsa is kind of like what we're doing. Conrad, I would duck if I were you right about now. Close your windows. Change your glasses. Change your name.
Se fue todo. 2020 vision.
Wait, that's what you look like without glasses? Oh.
That's me.
That's the both of us. There we go. We're all naked.
Different.
And the third lane of salsa is what we're doing. Like the whole entire blending. It's like future Latin, which you can hear in a lot of Alejandro Sanz's music, which you can hear with Cardi B. You can hear like what I'm making, what you're making, which is that lane of salsa. Radical dos.
What? Hey. I'm dead. Let me stop.
So I think those are the three lanes where we're at right now. And then, of course, you have the salseros that are still also salseros like you have Eddie Palmieri still touring. You still
seriously.
Gran Combo still making tunes and stuff like that. So I do think there's three modern lanes, and then you have whatever's left of that era of music that's still going strong.
Right.
Which naturally is going to come to an end, unfortunately. But
yeah, man. I mean, to me, everything is like cyclical. if that makes sense.
Yes.
Unfortunately, like the great salsa song by Willy Colón and Héctor Lavoe, Todo tiene su final. Listen, that song, the lyrics of that song come to mind in a lot of things in day and time. Yes, there are good times, there are bad times, there are sort of good times, there are sort of bad times. Everything comes to an end. And Clave could have been a new salsa sound, almost like a wow, yo, that's an interesting topic. Enclave. What do you think about Enclave?
I've never heard of them.
Okay, so Enclave, the lead singer I think was Huey Dunbar.
Okay.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
So the same way Enclave was to Aventura, Enclave was to Salsa.
Oh.
However, Enclave for whatever reason didn't reach that peak that Aventura did for Salsa. Yeah, the DJ U, hey, que lo que mi manito, one hit wonder to me. Damn, it's tough, but in this live stream, we might need to put that up to debate because it might be. And Clave, yeah, they had that song that like just hit, and that was it. Although, and bachata, Aventura just took it to the extreme, and Clave was supposed to be like the unicorn for salsa, like this new thing, because bachata was at its peak. Yeah, also.
Yeah. I really do think at that time, bachata really did go all the way up. Like bachata really was booming at that time. And I've never heard their music, but from what you're saying, I think it just has to do with the heavy salsa. I think that's what it is. I think that might be, as they say in the biz, the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vivir Mi Vida is like the 2010 salsa hit, and then that's it. You know.
And it's funny, man. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just some light-skinned Hispanic guy from Queens.
No. Hold on. We have a Boricua American, Dominican American in la casa, so I think we have a good fair representation idea of what's going on. People love more Stephen Mahia. What's up? People love more of the classic salsa. Is that right? Is that a fact or is that an opinion? What you think?
I think it's a general consensus. I think generally speaking, and I think a lot of that has to do with conditioning. Like we're just used to hearing salsa all the time, because all the time for your life, my life, for a lot of us Latinx Americans, Hispanic Americans, salsa was always old music. It was always old music. Even when our parents were in their 20s and their 30s, it was old music. Like, we never knew what new salsa sounded like.
We did it. I'm going to be honest. It was like, I mean, bro, it is tough because, I mean, I don't want to dive deep, but I mean, finish your thought.
No, it's just because we always think of salsa as an old genre.
As old, man. As old. It was like, I mean, even from like a Dominican, growing up in America, wow. I mean, that's a topic of its own. Listening to like DJ Jeremiah Red, what's up? I just think from my experience, you drop a rebellion, but it will. It's undeniable. It's hard to explain. Rebellion will have the dance floor cracking versus like, I don't know, like remix from like a Dominican artist doing a salsa, which happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it does. Motown for our parents, kinda, yeah. Oh man, and listen, Motown for our parents. It's crazy. Like if you want to talk salsa, and then the whole thing of like salsa remixes and edits and everything of like people doing this and playing it live in concerts, and like the old generation being in that audience. Oh.
That's not gonna happen again. As much as I would love to go, because there was one club in New York that I went to. That's when I went to the first Fania party, and I met
Yeah.
everybody there. And that place, it was in Soho. It was a legit underground Latin club that they would
Underground
have.
Latin. Mi
Dude,
gente.
they would have live salsa almost every single day of the week, and they would have bachata nights, like a live bachata band, like once a week.
Bro, that would change my life right now, bro. I'm sick of this quarantine. Okay. Anyways, finish your thought.
And I was there with I went with Isabella. She was my date, of course.
Hey.
And I was telling her, like, yo, we should come back here just to come back here, because like, where else are you going to hear live salsa in New York City? And about 2 months later, the place closed down. So if you have a legit Latin club in the middle of Soho, around the youngest crowd you can think of, that'll actually be willing to go. So we're looking at like late 20s to mid 30s, which is a really decent age range. Yeah, see, I was so sad. It was terrible. And now the next best thing is either hearing salsa being played by a DJ, and a lot of these DJs, they're not gonna really play Fania type classics, or you come to an Austin LeBron Radical Run show. Wink, wink, wink. You know?
No, triple wink, because that needs to happen. That needs to happen again. If I remember, did we both do like a Funk and Vibe show together? I think like
we did a Funk and Vibe show together. Yeah,
it was a small set. It was a small set, but regardless, the energy was there.
Yeah, it was. I remember you coming. I met you and Jeremy and everybody. It was cool. We finally met, and it was funny because Miles thought that he was like, oh my god, I found someone before everybody else found him. I discovered Radical, and then he went to my likes, and he saw that I liked your whole entire first EP. And I was like, I'm on that wave. I'm always listening too much.
Wow. Call Project, okay. Yo, hold on. The DJ Jew, do you think it has to do with new generation now wanting to learn the roots, learn how to dance from their parents?
Probably. Because that's still intimidating, you know? Like, people, even when you go to a club now, like, if I play some sort of, like, any type of salsa type song, even like a house salsa song, the only people that are really willing to dance are either people that know how to dance or are older. So you're kind of alienating a crowd just a little bit. So you already have that wall.
That disparity for whatever reason, and I don't know, man. It comes with like the modern, like the modernization of things, right?
Or drunk. Drunk works.
And then you have the people who are just drunk and try to dance regardless. DJ Rose. It's true. Listen, regardless, I think the future of salsa is still up for debate. I think for lack of a better term, I remember how to dance with my mom and Tia out at Hearts Party. It was part of the culture. Of course, it was part of the culture. The question is it still part of the culture? I don't know, because I'm not going to everyone's barbecue party. I don't know how. What are modern day barbecue parties? You guys tell me, what are modern day parties like? Family parties,
Yeah, because
intimate parties. I don't know. What do they look like?
Yeah, because realistically, we're gonna be the generation that's either gonna keep it going or break it. Because at this point, and it's gonna rely heavily on. Because are your parents from here or no? Radical One.
Oh no. My parents are super Criollo from the islands, bro.
Okay.
100%.
So it'll be us because my parents were born. My dad was born over there. My mom was born here. So we're looking at maybe second, third generation American-born Latinx, Hispanic people that are going to be faced with the decision: do we keep this going or do we not? Like, do we enforce children? Like, do we enforce our kids to speak Spanish? Do we play the music? Do we clean and play music at the same time? You know, because that's how I grew up. You know, whatever. Like, do we do those things or do we not do those things? Because it's going to be us. Realistically, it's going to be us.
Woo! Bad decision, Salsita. That's true. That doesn't exist. Kids are on their phones. Kids are on their phones. Kids are on their phones. Copa Mundial 2014 was where I learned salsa. Exact barbecue backyard parties until 6. Oh, I missed those so much. Arm record, my guy, bad decision. Before that was the entertainment, watching the older. Of course,
Yeah.
the domino parties, bro. There's no party without that old los hombres, los chiefs, the motherfucking chiefs.
El tan sudado con un wife beater, así.
Right, and their wife, you see the upstairs with the other wives, chismoseando y vaina.
Bochinche, los hombres están afuera. I mean, that's such an old way of thinking. Like, it doesn't exist anymore because we're not machismo type of things like that. Oh, we'll see you later, DJU. Peace out.
Nos vemos. Manito, tú sabes, mucho amor. But yeah, man, it's not the same, bro. And it's not the same, man. Oh, man. Those roots, I mean, that's where I came from, at least. I'm sure you had experience.
Of course,
coming
yeah, I've experienced it.
Of course, yeah. That's no denying. You also came up from that. So it's
What's
like
up, Rick Rock, though.
Rick Rock nuevo. It's like, what's the future of that? And like, para gente that, do we, continue that legacy? I mean, to me, lo que es original y de donde vino, como sea, I mean, esa cultura está dentro de mí, como sea para mí. O sea, eso viene natural. And I don't want the future generation to like forget where that came from. Me personally.
Yeah.
And not in a disgenuine way. Because I know everything adapts, everything evolves. And like in our music, I know we like contemporize it, but it's still that element that's still como criollo, still original, still from back then. And
from all the way back here.
I forgot what part of the brain that is, but yes.
I think that's a dublo oblongado. I could be wrong. I'm not a
dublo oblongado. I think I heard that in Rugrats and SpongeBob. I mean,
Isn't it called the memories are stored, something like that? It's somewhere back here.
Yeah, man.
From the brain.
And man, I mean, acuérdate, tú y yo estamos más maduros, la sociedad, this generation está más maduro. It's in our blood. We have to keep it deep in our roots. It's true.
Yeah, it's important. But I do believe that a lot of people are going to be faced with that decision. It's just like, but I think it's not only on our shoulders to carry the culture. It's not. Because, part of it is, a part of it isn't. I really do. Eventually, some come around. A lot of us younger didn't want anything to do with our parents, and it's true. Because honestly, when I was a kid, when I was a little kid, and I was like this big, I feel our kids are gonna feel the culture distance, but it's always gonna be there.
It's true.
Yeah, because that's the better. Because when I was a child, as Conrad runs off into the distance, into the sunset, we'll see you later, Radical One. My real name's Jose. So when I was a kid, there was a place in Puerto Rico. It's called Guabate. That's what it's called. And I hated going there. I didn't like it. You know why? Because for a 4-year-old, loud music all the time is irritating and annoying. And when your parents take you to a place where you don't want to go, you get mad. So that's what that is. So for a very long time in my life, I didn't really care too much about Spanish music, about salsa, whatever it is. I didn't care much for it because the only time I knew of it was when it was played in Christmas parties. in
Right.
Hot Dog. And there was always background music, so I really never paid much attention to it. I mean, of course, there's songs that I always liked. Like I always liked Juvia. I always liked
Manat,
Manas.
Gran Combo tracks,
Yeah,
etc.
like the Gran
Hector
Combo.
Lavoe tracks,
Yeah,
etc.
those are really good. But I had to make a conscious decision as an artist and as a Boricua, a Puerto Rican American. I think it's time I should show interest in this music. And then the more I listened to it, the more I started appreciating it, the more I educated myself in it. I really did feel a connection to the music as a part of a culture, as a part of my culture. Hey, just to make it clear. So you are right. It's not on us, but I think a few of us in our generation, I'm talking about as like a whole, like all million billion people that are born after the year 1993,
Right.
might have to be faced with that either consciously or subconsciously, because it's like, do you, because I know I want to teach my kids Spanish because that's important. I know I want to show my kids this music because it's important. And like you said, to do it in a very genuine way,
Genuine.
way where it's
Genuine.
honest and it's not a reach, because it's kind of hard to not see Spanish music as background music, and changing that is tough the older you get, especially when you make it and you talk about it more. It's like, oh, this is background music. I don't want it to be background music. I want it to be upfront. So to do that with kids, it's just constant listening to it, constant cooking, constant talking about it, and understanding the roots and the culture. So it's going to be heavy conversation based, because I do believe we are a generation that likes to talk, because a lot of these things were never spoken about back in the day. A lot of these things were never discussed. Some of the stuff was just, understood, but we're questioning, why is it understood?
No, bro, 100%. I feel like back then, man, and this is like bringing me so I don't want to cry.
Oh,
Oh,
I thought you were.
it's bringing me back to like when I was like 5, 7 years old, man. Just going back. It's like, the gatherings, the parties from like, my aunts and uncles, and it's like, bro, like you're hearing about shots from down the fucking block because is the institution. It's a motherfucking institution. Like La Tabla is coming. Like the only English you're hearing is from like the other people that are around your age or a little bit older who are Americanizado, because our aunts and uncles, the grandparents, they're not Americanized. They're living in America, living to Americans. Daniel was living to American standards, right? Cogiendo cupones and other conversations, regardless. But they're still from where they're from. There's no denying that, right? They're from where they're from, and they're showing that through their actions. Shout out to Obama, Sarah, okay. They're showing that through their actions, and that's what we're learning. Nosotros tenemos un pedacito de la isla donde somos aquí en América, sea Boston, sea Nueva York, sea New Jersey, sea Pennsylvania, donde motherfucking sea, hasta California, coñazo. They're taking their microcosm of where they grew up from into here,
Yep.
Enseñándonos a nosotros que lo que. Ahora, through time, que los chiquitos, los nuevos crecen y crean esa costumbre que aprenden de la escuela, de la vida, porque en realidad nos están criando donde vienen sus padres, sus tíos, sus abuelos, because it's a fact. We're not we're not growing up in the island where we're from, where our parents came from, and it's okay. It's okay. Pero whatever they're bringing us up with, they're teaching us. And whether that's for us not to forget or whatever, that's coming from them in a genuine way. There's no replicating that. The loudness, the music, the food, the culture, the amorismo, el abrazo, el beso, todo es de la isla, no es de América. It's not from America, United States. No es, entonces está de nosotros, los nuevos, coger esa cultura, sea modernizarla, o sea lo que sea, y ponerla para nosotros y para los que vienen después de nosotros, porque esa es la realidad. Point and blank, that's the reality. Esa es la realidad. That is true.
It looks like my very lovely girlfriend wants to have an argument after we hang up this Instagram Live. I'm just joking. We love each other very much. Trust me, everybody, please. I love my girlfriend. In a sense, Isabella, it would be up to them because it was up to them. It was up to them.
This is live, mi gente. But go ahead.
Because it was up to them. Me personally, my personal experience as a Puerto Rican American, as a Boricua.
It's getting real. I'm sorry. Go.
My experience as a Puerto Rican American, as a Boricua, my parents did their best, you know. But then again, my parents were. My dad moved here at a very young age. My mom was born here. Daniel, close your eyes. So a lot of my personal influence was a little more heavy on American music, like rock and freestyle. And freestyle is, of the time, was it was Latin music. So my experience with all this stuff is through my dad's side of the family. When I go to Puerto Rico, and I would see my aunt, my grandmother, see my uncles and my aunts from that side of the family. And part of it was going to my mom's sister's house, which was my aunt, and seeing some of that in there. So it is up to them to instill how much of the culture and the music and the aspects are instilled in us. It is up to them because a lot of people in our age group, their parents were born here. You know, some of them are 30, maybe even fourth generation Latin American. So over time, things start to get watered down. Like I used to joke around that I was a watered down Puerto Rican because I live in America. And in order for me to really understand my roots, I had to study it. I had to read. I had to analyze music. Like, you know, and music was really the gate into understanding a lot of these things. And I'm really owning that side of myself as much as I possibly can, as European as I might look. And that's a whole other topic of conversation.
With those glasses. Let me stop.
I need him to see. My eyes are too small for my face. All right, but I feel like after a certain point, which happens with any type of thing, you know, people, a torch gets passed and things like that, because whenever I think that at some point in their lives, most people want to learn about their, but I'm just gonna keep the Mario Kart. It is. I'll drop my Switch code in my story so everyone can hop on. I think at some point in their life, most people want to learn about their ancestry. Of course, you know, and especially
Ancestry.com and shit. But go ahead.
Especially now, I feel like we're a very cynical, a very questionatory type of generation that we're really not going to sit back and take no for an answer. We're going to question. We're not going to just deal with it. But some things we're not going to question, like more so things about like family and like heritage and culture. We're going to question and maybe try to understand a little more, because especially like blank American people, like let's say like Latin American, like American in the United States.
In the sense, but from like a different background, like or like the parents or whatever.
Yeah, like Mexican American, Chilean American,
Argentino, etc.
Yeah, they want to understand their roots, because after a while, you do develop some sort of an identity crisis. You're just like, I wasn't born over there, but this is still my culture. But I can't really understand the culture because I can't go over there. Because if I go over there, then I feel like I'm an American, but I'm also Latinx and Hispanic, but at the same time I'm American, and that's the thing. It's like, yeah, the being white passing happens.
Wow, yo, this is a historic moment in Wepa Wednesdays. Yet, being the white passing happens here in the island too. Yes.
That's on period. Period,
Yes.
poo.
Yes. Wow.
You know, and now we're getting into a whole entire thing of racial discrimination and all those things, which might have to be handled on Sarcastic Saturdays. I don't know. So jokes. These are very important things to talk about. They're very important things to talk about because it is part
True.
of, yeah, that's the thing. Even my mom is dark skinned. Like, and you know my mother's dark skinned. My mother's dark skinned, but they would whenever like when she was younger, they would so I guess there's every side for me. Whenever I think people in the neighborhood would hear her speak Spanish, they would call her, "Oh, está hablando como un blanquita." I was like, she was like, "But I'm Puerto Rican." And they hear her speak English, like, "Oh, como un blanquita está hablando." I was like, what? And she's dark skinned. So there's that. They have that aspect of it, which is another problem.
Super problem.
We can't talk about these things because everyone gets mad. So then we have to make political songs that hint at these ideas, and then no one sees it because it's under the layers of music and all that stuff. That's because I speak English, but when I go to NYC, I'm the Boricua.
Wait, what? Wait, where are you from? Just to be clear. Just to make it. Oh my God. That's crazy. That's the disconnect. You can be from Miami, go to NYC, it doesn't go.
No.
Coñazo.
Like you can legit be born on the island, wherever that island is or that country, learn English, come to America, come to the United States, speak English fluently and Spanish fluently, and they'll say, "Oh, you're this, you're that," even though it's important. Also, I think it's a good time to start sending in those questions. We have some answer for the last part of the show.
Oh my God. I was, definitely. I was born in the Bronx. Yo, that is the opposite of my experience. That is, wow. How does that feel?
Excited to see how you can from our culture to others based on this.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I was there from DPR to set to see. It's true. It's true. No, es verdad. It's true. And it's sad because, they never go into prejudice and racism, etc., whatever you want to call it. Oh, it's tough. It's complicated, man.
Yeah, which is why it's important to understand music and our culture within the music, because a lot of those artists back in the day were faced with those discriminations and they were faced with those hardships, like Celia Cruz. That she was a dark-skinned Cuban. She was an Afro-Cuban woman making music in the 40s and 50s and 60s. That's not easy, That's why Motown is so important.
Sure.
That's why these things are very important to understand. But unfortunately, there's still aspects of the culture that are so ingrained in prejudice and racism that, like you said, is that disconnect.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean we have to accept them. Just because we acknowledge them doesn't mean we have to accept them. We acknowledge them. And I feel like that's on our shoulders to break away from. Because, our parents have their moments, because that's our generation. Like, our parents are like that last piece of cloth
from
that generation, like from that mindset. you know, and there's a lot of parents, a lot of Latin parents, and that you know moved here a very long time ago. They've been living here for almost 40 years or so, all their lives, you know. That still have little
Yeah.
tiny things, like little tiny things.
Traces? You could call them traces, but I think it's more than traces. But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
with our generation, you know, older, younger millennials and generation, I believe Z,
Yeah,
Gen
Z.
Z, it's important that we acknowledge that these things aren't nice to say anymore. These things aren't nice to do. Moving beyond prejudice through music, we we can move beyond prejudice through music, but a lot of that isn't up to the people. A lot of that is up to labels, and a lot of that is up to
Wow.
businesses. You know,
Yo, yeah.
oh, it's true. What were you gonna say?
No, did he say baby doll? No hace sentido tener prejuicio. It doesn't make sense to have prejudice when we all bleed from the same color of blood. Whew! I mean, that's a whole other topic, but yeah, it's true.
It's true. This is music can be interpreted in so many ways. It's complicated. It is true. You know, it's all interpretation. What about dance parties and music blending different backgrounds? Those are amazing. That's really fun. You know, and that's where we are right now. You know, that's why. Like in your sets, especially in your shows, you're playing trap and you're playing baile funk, you're playing Afro beats, you're playing
Yo soy brasileiro now. I'm fucking everything. I'm from Atlanta. I'm from Rio de Janeiro. I'm from San Juan. I'm from Punta Cana. Bro, listen, the global spirit, those blurred lines are merging at this point. Like,
but,
what is music? That's a whole other topic. That's crazy.
But the thing about world music,
yes,
that I don't like is that it's a box to put everything in.
Okay, yeah.
So then you're losing the identity of all this culture because you're gonna put it in that box of world music, like samba. Oh, that's world music. Afrobeats. Oh, that's world music.
Wait, that's who? The Billboard and them motherfuckers?
Yeah, like that's what
the Grammy board. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's true. You know, it's just like
Q1993.
That's what it is. Everything is world music, but it's only world music to the Western world.
I know, man. I mean, does the Western world control everything? Hold on, exactamente. As someone whose Creole blurring languages is a part of my thing. What is it? Oh my God! What is it?
What isn't
world music? I mean, what the fuck?
You know, because it's just like because one could say that because if you're from, let's say you're from, I personally believe blending genres in this, especially when
world music has some people's intro to music beyond whack. That so many songs have been lumped into that. It's true. It's whack. Super whack.
Because American music, which is jazz, Black American music,
rhythm and blues.
Rhythm and blues. You have, and even folk music, which every country has folk music, but for some reason, whenever we think of folk, we think of, you know, a couple of white dudes with a scrubbing rag blowing in a jug and a banjo, which is what we've been conditioned to think. But yeah, because someone who lives in another country can see our music as world music, like American music as world music, and vice versa. But the Western, I'm not scratching myself. I'm scratching my nose. I smell good. The Western world does control a lot of that stuff, you know. However, there are people in America who don't understand that there is
much more than Western music. It's hard for them to understand.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Because they're motherfucking closed-minded, not to cut you off. Sorry.
Yeah, it's true.
Closed-minded, motherfucker. I'm sorry.
One more time.
We're just country boys. We're just motherfucking country boys, and that's it. We like barbecue on our meats. That's it, boy. Okay.
It's very close.
Hurricane.
It's very close-minded people. Like what is this? Like cumbia, for example, originated in Africa. Yes, cumbia did originate in Africa because those instruments were brought to Latin America through slavery. That's what it is. It's called Afro-Cuban for a reason.
Wow.
It's bomba
Wow.
latina for a reason. A lot of these genres of music, unfortunately, as sad as it is, would not be possible,
Right.
or would have taken a longer time if it weren't for the slave trade. And the
100%.
slave trade brought a lot of negatives, but through that we got beautiful forms of music that became folk music, like guajira. Guajira is folk music, and if you look at the instrumentation, you have conga, bongo, African. You have,
Songo. El
yeah,
songo.
you have and then you have el tres,
El
and you
son.
have
Yep.
the bass guitar,
That's
which is
true.
European. You know, even in a salsa ensemble, you have conga, bongos, timbales. A French instrument, timbales are a French European instrument that comes from the timpani.
Are you
That's what
serious?
it is. Yes, the timbales is a French instrument. So you have the European and the African, and then you have the piano, the jazz piano, which is American.
The fact that you're telling me that the bass is from Europe is like blowing my mind, because like I'm like, am I European now? Because I love bass.
No, the bass, the modern bass instrument that we know of is a Eurocentric.
The upright bass. The upright bass.
The upright bass.
Wow.
Is a
European.
In your opinion, do you think there will be a chance where this understanding of music and nativity will occur? On a small scale, probably, because what I'm talking about right now is a hot topic of study at this moment, right now. Like, people are studying this stuff now. Do you think
we got a question? Do you think we're on the crux of all these genres learning together, or do you think we have taken many moves forward? What do you think?
I think we are starting to do that, because now we're asking questions.
We got 2 minutes, folks. Wow, this is crazy! Oh my God, this episode blew. But anyway,
I think we're at the beginning of it, and I think we still have a lot more education, a lot more things to learn, because if as just we're talking Afro Latin music, if we don't understand at its very form how this music started, then we can't start anywhere. If you don't understand where the roots are coming from, then we can't have a conversation.
We can't even talk face to face. I'm sorry.
The thing is that we can start a conversation if someone doesn't know it, by telling them these things, and they have to and to keep the conversation going, they have to be receptive.
Not gonna lie, I grew up around Afro-Cuban music and listen to Afro-pop. Oh my God, we only got 1 minute. I actually like Wepa Wednesday than actually going to the classroom. Mi gente, please. Oh my God, it's like a million questions when you got 50 seconds. Oh my God, mi gente, Wepa Wednesday is for you guys, please. Every Wednesday, tune in. Yeah, honestly, we're here for you guys. This is for the people. Yeah. Please share. Agda, tú sabes, always love. Yes, this is what we talk about, my people. 30 seconds. My gente, we're here for you. This energy, this is for every Wednesday. We always promote it. Shout it out for you guys, please. Next Wednesday's gonna be even more lit. But I want to thank everyone who's been tuning in. Not to cut you off, also, we got 20 seconds left.
That's fine. Oh, real quick.
Announcement.
I'm gonna be spinning on Fanya's Instagram Live on Saturday night, 8 o'clock. Fania, Instagram Live. Austin LeBron DJ set. I'm playing all your favorite tunes.
5 seconds.
And stuff you've never even heard before. Bye.
Live set. Fania, te lo quiero. Bye.